Aloha, welcome to ThinkTech. We are live, we're downtown in the heart of Honolulu. Welcome to Urban Transcendence. Our guests today are Robert King Andia, Colin Anderson and La'akea, and we're going to be talking about their Ancient Hawaii project. But first, I want to thank my co-host, Martin Despain, and I would like to thank our guest from this week for clearing the schedule so I could have these wonderful guests before they fly out to Australia tomorrow. So thank you so much, guys. We'll see you in the next coming weeks. So this show is about 3D animation, visual art, and ancient Hawaii legends. Our guests are, what would you guys call yourselves? Visual artists, 3D?
Photographers.
Photographers. They're photographers, yes. So we're going to be talking about their background and how they created this beautiful logo, which we're going to showcase their art. It's featuring legends of Hawaii, and we'll get to the backstory of that. But first, I'd like to introduce, next to me, I have Robert King Andia. He was raised in Hawaii. He's traveled throughout the world. He's a working fashion and advertising photographer in film, video, and commercial producer, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, it used to be, but get back into it.
Okay. And then we also have Colin Anderson next to us. He is a photographer. He is a creative art director. He was in ad design, and where he met his partner in crime, his wife Luana Anderson, who's over there. You guys can't see her, but she'll chime in later. And they are focused on photography and storytelling through the digital imagery. Colin has shared his vision with diverse companies such as IBM, Canon, Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and MasterCard, Forbes, and Time, and many, many more. And next to Colin, we have La'akea, who is our Hawaiian advisor. Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Well,
Thanks.
Excellent. So first, I'd like to talk about you, how you guys came into collaboration, how you met, and how this project came to be.
Okay.
And a little bit about your history, like how you became a photographer.
growing up in Hawaii, grew up all over the islands actually, but one of the things that was kind of always was in my heart was the Hawaiian legends and such. I was always talking to Kahu and Kapuna, learning about the legends and everything like that. And when I was younger, I was an artist, and I used to work as a professional artist, designing textile patterns over here in Hawaii for Hawaiian print shirts. As I developed through my art in high school, I actually found a camera one day, and the PE teacher said, go ahead and keep it. He trusted me, so nobody ever came back for the camera, so I started shooting photos. My art teacher thought it would be a good idea to help my perspective to shoot photos, because my perspective was way off in art. So started shooting photos and went off to college and put myself through college shooting photos, and got in America, and then started getting into
America, meaning the mainland?
The mainland, yeah.
Okay. I read that on the back. I was like, America?
It's a continent. We're not America, right? We're an island. So anyways,
we're
yeah,
one of the 50 states.
Yeah, but that's the United States. I'm not going to get in this argument right now.
All right.
Just kidding. No, so I was putting myself through college shooting photos, and that became my career actually. So started getting into photography. Living in Los Angeles, I was able to get in the fashion industry, get in the production industry, and then it put me on a path of about 16 years of world travel, traveling all over the world, shooting fashion and advertising photography. And
so
when
you shot before digital. You were shooting film?
Yeah, we also filmed.
Yeah. So you all started off in film.
Yeah,
when it was very expensive.
I was probably the latest photographer to adapt to digital, actually, because
okay.
I just didn't have the money to buy the cameras. But anyway, so came back to Hawaii after I was living in New York, and 9/11 happened, and I came back to Hawaii, and we bought a boat company here in Hawaii. So I hadn't worked in the industry for a while. I picked up some jobs. Yeah, catamaran on the beach.
What's
one of the
called?
Waikiki beach cats. It's called the Waikiki Rigger.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were in that business for 12 years. We just sold it. And when we were doing the catamaran business, I was contacted by Luana from Australia. They wanted to use our vessel for some photography work. Colin and her did. And we ended up just hitting it off, and we discussing that I was a photographer and things we could do together. I told them about this project I'd been wanting to do kind of all my life. I don't even remember when it kind of first came into my head. And so it's been my whole life that I wanted to do something like this, and just do something about the Hawaiian culture, because it's so profound in my heart and always was growing up. So we started talking, and Colin loved the idea and said, hey, well, we can get together on this. I loved his work because his digital work is amazing, and he's a great photographer. So the combination worked out together.
Yes.
And my production capabilities and photography capabilities, his photography capabilities, and his digital work all combined together. And we got to shooting this project, and we worked with a friend of mine who's a Hawaiian cultural director at Outrigger Hotels, the one in Maitland. And she introduced us to Maile Meyer, who introduced us to La'akea. So we had a group of about 6 Hawaiian cultural advisors. And
yeah,
that's what
very,
led us to
very
this.
closely guided. Every photograph for the historical stories of all the ancient gods.
Oh yeah, I read probably 6 months. I was reading straight all the stories and history of Hawaii. I read the Komalipo, read Beckwith, Mary Pukui, Kavena Pukui, her works. So it was just kind of a combination of everything. So the actual project is basically representing the essence of the profound ancestors of Hawaii. It's not iconic, it's not historical. We didn't go to one story or anything. We picked up on everything and tried to compile it together in the photographs to create the essence of these profound ancestors.
Excellent. So you are the facilitator as well as art director, and you guys came together in this amazing collaboration. You made it happen.
Yes.
I'm curious because of all the layers that go involved. With you guys use real life models as well as we'll get to Colin's expertise in digitizing and layering images with digital design and
well, everything.
Photoshop.
What we did was we did storyboards originally, like you would do a standard storyboard or comp up any kind of shoot. So we did the storyboards originally. From there, we put them together and said, okay, this is what we need. So when Colin got over here when he arrived back from Australia, we got into production and we traveled throughout the islands, shooting all the what we call background plates and all the detail work like leaves and flowers and all that kind of stuff. So basically then we put that all together in the shot. So everything is a photograph in these shots except for the CGI images which Colin created for the Hi'iaka image. And so
And Pele's dress, yeah.
Oh yeah, Pele's dress,
Yeah.
but we actually use lava and stuff.
Yeah.
So Pele's dress is actually it's a real.
Well, what
image?
happened, I use a program called ZBrush, or ZBrush, depends where you are, Australia or America, and it's like a virtual sculpting program. You start with a sphere, and you just bend it and mold it into the shape of a dress. You put wrinkles and all that, and then we layered on top of that the volcano we shot, or lava we shot in the Big Island. So then that gives a texture, then you paint in the...
It's collaging. Everything's collaging.
It's overlaying,
Overlaying,
yeah. So the dress or skirt is actually 3D, so you can rotate it around, and you build it in one program, import it into another one, then you render it out to give the light writing, so the light all matches to the actual shot where she's going to be standing in it. And then you layer on top of that the volcano and the lava rock to give it the texture.
Yes.
That's basically how it works.
Wow. Okay. So the 3D imaging. What's the difference between CGI and Photoshop?
Well, Photoshop is usually a static image. Like if I photographed you right now, you wouldn't be 3D. You'd be a flat image. If I had to model you, then you'd be 3D. So I'd get your face and I'd build your face out of clay, basically, and then light you, and that's how it works. Like Pixar, like you've seen, like Toy Story.
Right.
That's CGI.
Yes.
So that's actually the body can be moved around in a computer.
So your CGI experience, did that come from going to school or in?
No, it's self-taught.
Self-taught,
Yeah.
So you have to keep up with the Joneses?
Oh yeah. I learned ZBrush in January. We were shooting here on the Legends, or the Ancients, and I was knowing I had to build this dress and a few other things at Mo'o. We had to incorporate into the shot as well, so I knew we were going to have to build those. So I started learning ZBrush while I was here. So we'd shoot in the daytime. At nighttime, I'd go home and do tutorials. I'd download the program and start doing tutorials at night and in the morning. I did like 100 hours worth of tutorials over that month. So by the time I got back to Australia, I had somewhat of a grasp on how to do it. I'm not a great ZBrush artist, but I've got out of trouble.
So, for example, the dress, how many hours go into just digitizing that?
Oh, yeah, that's her dress.
Just the dress.
That's a lot of work, yeah. I mean, building the dress in ZBrush, like it's a clay, so I'm putting little wrinkles, and that wasn't too bad.
Right.
If I was better, it probably would have been half the time, but again, I'm new to
A tangible
ZBrush.
clay?
No, it's virtual clay.
It's a virtual clay.
So you've got like a virtual ball,
Mm-hmm.
and you're basically, with tools, is you're bending it, and you're moving the camera around the ball. So you're pulling
So you have
it.
to take a picture of every single...
No, it actually, in real time.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
real
rotate
time.
around it, and you pull it, and then you move the camera around to see where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically how it works. And then once it's done, you put it out to another program which renders it at high resolution to make it look photorealistic.
Right.
Because in ZBrush, it doesn't look photorealistic. It looks like a bit of clay.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you put it into another program, you put a sky in, then light it, the lighting matches, then take it out of that into Photoshop, and that's when you put the lava rock onto it to make it look like a lava rock, like her
Right.
dress is made of lava.
Wow.
And then you
yes.
go in and start painting the flames and the veins of the volcano and the lava flow and the dripping and things like that.
So this is, since we're a tech show, I'm very curious, you use a lot of data and storage
Oh,
and
yeah.
information.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, when you're putting that much investment into time of your work, about your backup and securing
I've got about 30 terabyte of external drives at home.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a 12-core Mac computer that's got 65 gig of RAM, because most of these files were 10 gig in size, so there's a lot of data going back and forth.
10 gigs.
Because they're going to be 7 foot long, these pictures. So you can imagine the resolution to get that big. They're very, very, very big files.
Right.
So it's like working on an elephant with a microscope. Because just to get a 100% resolution, you're looking very close. So it's pulling back, looking, pulling back, looking.
Right.
You can't miss, because once they're big, there will be no room for error. Because you're going to see people walking up, and Pele's face is going to be that big. So I got to make sure that everything's right. The lava flows right, the fire's right.
The pixels, actually, my brother just bought a 4K TV, which I understand 4K is 400% more pixels.
Yeah,
right?
so right now most TVs are around, I think, 1920 by 7, no, it's 1080 by 720. I think that's most TVs. Yeah, so 4K is 4 times, yeah.
What do you think about that
Yeah.
as far as going forward?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
More resolution, the better. Yeah, it's great.
So you're constantly keeping up with. What about shooting? If we're going into the 4K generation and you're shooting with 1080p cameras, how does?
Yeah, our cameras are higher than the 4K. Yeah,
Oh,
ours
oh,
are.
really?
Yeah.
These cameras that you shot with?
I mean, when I put out a file, each file is 63 meg, which is quite large, like an A3, so it's quite large, and that's a 300 DPI. When you're talking, the TV is 72, so this is 300, so the quality has got a ways to catch up to the.
How many cameras do you use when you shoot?
We just use one.
You just use
Bob
one?
had one, I have one, and when we shoot the background plates, we'll put it on a tripod, we shoot, pan, shoot, and then we strip it together.
Shoot, pan.
Well,
So-
because you've got to stitch the background together. It's so big.
Right, yeah.
One frame isn't going to get the detail I need, because no camera is going to do a shot that's 6 foot wide. It's just the resolution. Nobody makes one, I don't think. So
What camera do you use?
We use a Canon 5D.
5D.
Yeah, Mark III, yeah.
So La'akea, I understand you're the Hawaiian advisor, and considering how beautiful these images are, and they're going to be that large, we should get this into the outrigger, right?
Right.
Is your affiliation with the outrigger? How did you come into play with this? Because you're closely guiding the stories, right? So these images are representing the actual essence of the Hawaiian legends, right?
Yeah. Actually, my name is La'akea Sugunuma.
How do you do?
Thank
you so much for being here.
And I'm an Alohe Lua Aiwaiwa, which means a practitioner of the Hawaiian martial art of Lua. And I teach it and I make weapons. And so when he wanted to do the battle scene, he contacted me and we went over. So basically, everything in the battle scene, the weapons are real, positioning.
Which image is that?
That's a coup.
Kamai?
Coup.
You
shot,
want to
yeah.
bring that up so we
Yeah,
can?
yeah, we can bring it up. We can.
Coup is the.
The battle scene.
The battle
Wow.
scene, yeah.
That is. How long did that?
That
Is
took weeks.
multiple
weeks,
years.
Yeah, I mean, the shoot was
Yeah.
bad enough.
Oh yeah, the shoot took hours.
5 or 6 hours,
So
yeah.
coup is 41. Yeah.
Which is a shoot of last.
And if you can bring it up in the 1920.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
There it is.
So
How
you
many
have
figures did you put in there?
multiple pumais there.
Yeah, there's about 115, 20 individual warriors, and nothing's repeated. So each warrior is
an expression, an a whole separate expression.
Yeah, so La'akea, what we did with this, we were worried about the formation. I think that's where you helped us the most. I had no idea how the battle scene would go.
Right.
I think we talked beforehand, and this is basically your layout, how to position them.
Yeah, and particularly the weaponry, the real traditional weapons.
So those are all
you-
actual weapons. They're not.
No, they're real. I
digitized
cut my
and-
hand open. I was handing one to the model, and I drew it across my hand. It's a shark tooth, a tiger tooth, or a
The tiger shark.
yeah.
What is this weapon that he's holding? What is that called, La'akea?
That's a laupalam. It's a club.
It's a club.
And what we're doing here is, in olden times, you could resolve a war by having a champion fight a champion, and whoever won, that may be the end of the entire battle. So that's what we're depicting here is one side of the battle and the champion, in the middle, and issuing challenges to the other side, and they will go to battle.
Can you tell us a little bit about the background of Ku? Tell the audience what Ku represents and what his.
Well, that's more Bob's area, I think. My expertise is in battle and weaponry.
Ah, I see.
And culture in general. I learned the culture from my grandmother, Mary Pukui, so all different facets of Hawaiian culture. But in this particular shot, it was pretty much confined to weaponry and that type of thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
But the concept is really Bob's. And
Well,
Colin's.
we're actually going to come back to Bob after a quick commercial, and you're going to tell us a little bit more about Ku, and we'll go right to a commercial. Thank you so much for joining us for Ancient Hawaii on Urban Transcendence.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard, and I host the show Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii digital series right here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 Hawaii time. I would really love to have you watch the show and see what we do here. I talk with some of the most amazing people, artists, most of them, all of them involved in some sort of artistic process. And our goal here on the show is to dig into that artistic process, and you would not believe what some people say, what some people do, what people go through to express. And these are people who have to express somehow, and I find that infinitely interesting. Not only that they have to express, but how they end up doing it. I really hope that you will watch the show and enjoy talking with some of these people the same way that I do. Thanks, and I hope to see you soon on Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii digital series, Wednesdays from 2 to 3. See you soon.
Okay, this is ThinkTech, and one of our favorite shows is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. And it goes 4 to 5 every Wednesday right here from ThinkTech in Pioneer Plaza at the core of downtown Honolulu. And my co-host is Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy. Ray, do you like the show?
I love the show. It's great to see all the new people coming in with new ideas about how to save energy, get us off of fossil fuel, and that's what it's all about. So Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. See us on Wednesday afternoons at 4 o'clock.
I knew he'd say that. Thanks, Ray.
Well,
Welcome back to ThinkTech on Urban Transcendence. We're here, we're talking with the photographers and the artist of Ancient Hawaii. And we're right before we went to break, we were going to talk with Robert about the background of the image Ku, which we're going to actually go into more of all the other various images that they created. Hi.
hi.
So tell us a little bit more. Can we bring that image back up for the audience to see, so he can tell us a little bit about what. Oh, by the way, I want to tell the audience that we have another guest sitting in who is Kai Lee, and he's very well versed in Hawaiian mythology, and he'll chime in as well. So Robert, tell us about Ku and what his background is, the story, what he represents.
As I said, this is the whole project was about the essence of the profound ancestors of Hawaii. Ku was essentially, there's so many different personifications of every deity or profound ancestor. There's tons of different personifications, especially the primary gods, which are Ku, Kane, Lono, and Kanaloa. But what we did with the Ku image specifically is, if you look in the background of the Ku image, you can see that there's kind of in the clouds, there's an image of which would be Ku. And what I wanted to create with this shot, and Colin and I had a discussion about how best to do this, was to basically, Ku is bringing to the warriors the warrior spirit. So it's the spirit of Ku, the essence of Ku, as personified in the warriors. We shot Pomai about 400 different poses, actually.
No, 7.
Huh?
700
different
yeah,
poses.
7. I had to
to
add
get
them
to
in
where
700.
we were.
Yeah.
So 700, I was
Yeah.
wrong. And I think
700
La'akea-
different poses, but that doesn't include all the shots.
No, yeah, different. I think it was 700 poses. Yeah, 'cause we had to count them, make sure we had enough warriors to group them.
And I was reading in one of your interviews that you actually don't let them just do a free flow. You
No.
position them
Yeah.
very strategically.
Oh yeah, there's no.
Painstakingly.
Yeah, there's no ad-libbing. I mean, La'akea was doing it each time. He was saying what position they should be in, what weapon they should hold, and where they should be in the formation. So we didn't do nothing until he gave us the okay to move on. So yeah, it was more he was happy, Bob and me were happy. We shot it, lit it, but he was the one giving us the go-ahead to go, okay, he's done, he's happy with the expression. He showed them what expression to do, what weapon to hold, where to hold it, how to do it, and then we just shot it. And he was happy. We'd change weapons and move along from the outside to the inside to the other outside.
We had to shoot at all different sides, so
Yeah.
shooting from center to left, center to right, center to center. And then with the main character in it there, we hadn't even considered that when we designed the shot. It was more of a battle scene when we designed the shot, but La'akea came in and said that this was the way we should actually shoot it.
Which was a last-minute change, wasn't it?
It was a last-minute
On
change,
the day
yeah.
of the shoot.
So La'akea was there the whole time instructing the model on how to pose, how to do his scream, his yell, and make it guttural.
I know Pomai.
Oh, do you really?
I know all your models, actually.
Oh, really?
Pomai, Mahina,
Oh,
Kala.
okay.
We've
right
all
on.
worked together, so this is probably some of his most profound work that I've seen you guys create.
This is probably I think this was the toughest
Oh,
shot in
he's-
post, right?
Yeah,
Because
definitely,
of
without a
just
doubt, yeah.
arranging it properly.
Shooting, post.
What's
everything.
really interesting is that Colin made the artistic decision. We had shot, when we were shooting this shot, the background plates were in these giant fields with the mountains in the background, and the warriors would have been coming down from there. And when Colin was doing the post, he just made the artistic decision to put them on rock, which we found out is actually a very good way to do this. Actually would have been something that would have been done to show how tough the warriors were. They would have come up onto the rocks. And
Where did you shoot that? Where?
that was on the Big Island.
On the Big Island,
Mhm.
yeah. Was most of the images shot on the Big Island, or various locations?
All over the
And
place.
was that
yeah.
strategic as well?
That was just good chance. That
Oh.
one, yeah, it just worked out well that way. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to another image. Actually, which one would you guys like to talk about? The Kampua?
I think since we have Pomai Ho'opili in the audience here today, and he probably will be appearing, I think we should probably go to the shot of La'akea and Papa.
Okay, Vakea and Papa. Oh, well, we can go to that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
51.
Pomai sits in.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
great.
So out of all, was that the most painstaking?
Yeah, that's
for
weeks and weeks and weeks of work.
Weeks and weeks and weeks of
Yeah.
work. Hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah, easily. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And this is all an investment. Do you have backers for the hours that you put in?
No.
Or is this all out of
No,
your
my advertising clients are my backers. No, so I basically just took the time off, and it's the first personal project I've ever done.
So this is a passion project?
Yeah, and there's no, we just did it. Do the pictures first and see what happens.
Okay, yes. And I understand that, okay, this is the Papa Wakea. Mr. Kai Lee, can you tell us a little bit about the historical relevance of this? Do you know who these gods are? And tell us a little bit, chime in.
Well, this is a love story, but really more interesting than that, what I've been taking in from what Robert and Colin have been sharing, which is very Hawaiian in a sense, is the union of creativity and science or technology. When people think of the Hawaiian people, they often, think of this very pure, native, natural environment, but they forget that the Polynesians truly were the Vikings of the Pacific that used celestial navigation to travel further than any other people. And when you look at Hawaiian mythology, you also see parallels with Norse mythology as well as with Greek mythology, but Norse in particular is interesting because of the Vikings. And with Kanaloa and Kane, you have almost like characters like Thor and Loki, which most people think of from the Marvel universe, but actually in Norse mythology, you have that combination. So Kane and Kanaloa, as Robert mentioned, would be there with Ku and Lono as four key figures, and they would be contrasted in that Kane is like upright, very straightforward, almost an image of the Rock with a spear, as where Kanaloa would be more like Bruce Lee in the sense of using craftiness and skill to accomplish things. But with the concept in this artwork, why it's relevant in terms of perpetuating Hawaiian culture in the 21st century is if you look at the fish pond. So Hawaiians, there's that old adage, eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Well, our Hawaiian ancestors, what they did is they stacked rocks so that small fish could make it into the shore away from predators, and then they would grow and become larger. And done correctly, a Hawaiian could then make sure that his grandchildren and great-grandchildren that he would never even meet would still be able to eat. And that is a union of technology and creativity that exists within Hawaiian culture, which I think is perpetuated well in the creativity and ingenious work that these two men have done.
Feels like you've really got a grasp for what what they're trying to present, yeah.
What's very interesting, what Mr. Lee is saying, is that because one of the things that when I started to make this project and think of it in my mind, one of the things that always stuck with me with the Hawaiian culture was that I believed, like after reading, I love history, so I've studied history from around the world. One of the things that I believed was that the Hawaiian were one of the more advanced ancient civilizations with technology. So the fish ponds, the agriculture, the aquaculture, and all the things that they did with sailing and the canoes and stuff. I believe that they were actually one of the more advanced ancient societies. And that's one of the things that we try to put into these photos. And thanks, you picked that up without me even saying anything about it. So.
Yeah, all your models are very substantial in the community. How did you go about selecting your models? Are you very particular and meticulous in that
Bob
way?
did all the casting. I got here in January and he showed me, and I think the only one we had a disagreement, or not, well, we talked about was I had a certain person for Ku, which was Pomai, because he's got that, got that presence, and I thought he'd be a good Ku. That's about the only one we talked about.
So you did the casting.
Yeah, and when I originally did the casting, I was looking at Kala, because you know who Kala is.
Yeah, we know Kala.
And I was looking at Kala as Ku, but then when we got to talking about it, Kala actually fits Kanaloa so much better.
He's a water person, so
and
yeah.
When I presented it to Kala, he was very happy about it.
There's two of him.
Yeah,
34.
we have. Yeah.
34, Zuri. We want to show Kala Alexander as a Kanaloa. I love this image, how it's all encompassing. With all the tentacles, and that is very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Kala, it was, like I said, I kind of looked at him as Ku, potentially, and then Colin wanted Pomai, because he'd worked with Pomai before. And when we discussed it, I kind of said, well, this is more Kala, and it has to do with, like, there's two Kanaloa images. That's the only one that we have the two images side by side. So what it is the duality of Kanaloa and the duality of the ocean, because the ocean, I'm a sailor and a surfer, so I'm pretty familiar with the ocean's very nice, beautiful, calm days, and I'm very familiar with the more turbulent days. So that's the duality of the ocean and the duality of
Kanaloa
Kanaloa.
too, Zuri?
Yeah.
If we can show that one, the contrasting, the dual Kanaloas. They're, I think next or behind this one. It's with. Okay, there's the one with the.
It's a calmer image,
yeah.
and what
There it is,
yeah.
Underneath the sea, underneath the ocean.
More of a guiding.
Yeah.
And what this one represents is Kanaloa guiding the great voyage to Hawaii from the South Pacific. As you know, Kanaloa in the South Pacific is one of the primary gods in the South Pacific. We were very blessed in this because I contacted Hokulea, contacted Polynesian Voyaging Society. They allowed us to come out and shoot the Hokulea, and then I shot another vessel.
That's the actual Hokulea?
That is the Hokulea, the giant double-hulled one with the two sails. And I shot another vessel that had the Lauhala sails, and Hokulea, as you know, has kind of transitioned their mission. And so they have the more contemporary sails. So when I got to shoot this other vessel, what we did was we took the Lauhala sails, and I sent the vessel to Colin, and he did his Photoshop work and put it on. And when I took it down to PBS down there, they were just over the moon about it. They loved it because they like to see Hokulea like this. But yeah, they were so gracious to allow me to go out and shoot, and that was just before they set sail to Tahiti. So
how is
really
Kala as a model for you, Colin?
Oh, it's great, fantastic, very easy. Yeah, no.
who projects that
Yeah,
masculinity.
yeah.
and-
No, he was wonderful, perfect. He did both both versions. He just wonderful. It was easy. It was, look mean, and you can look mean, and then he had that calming look as well. So it worked out well. Yeah.
All right.
Especially where we shot it, because Eddie Rothman actually let us use his dojo at his house to shoot Kala, because Kala had just come back from traveling, so he was on the North Shore, and we had just a day to shoot it, and so we got lucky, and we shot kind of low in probably about 15 minutes. I
Yeah, yeah,
all the
pretty quick.
poses.
Yeah.
Some days are.
Most of the shoots went very quickly. I was amazed how good the models were. Even the amateurs were amazing.
Well, on that note, we'll come back and you'll discuss with us what's more of a challenge for you, the models or you're the tech side.
Oh, that's a quick one.
All right. So on that note, thank you for joining us for Urban Transcendence. We're with Colin Anderson and Robert King Andia and Sir Kai Lee, and actually their whole team is in the studio today. And please come back live for Urban Transcendence in ancient Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We've been doing it for some time now. And we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us.
Okay, it's every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll see you there.
Aloha, welcome back to Urban Transcendence on ThinkTech. I'm your host, Ali Yamashita, and we're joined with the artist of ancient Hawaii. And we did a little switcheroo in the studio too. Now we have one of the models of their collaboration series, Pomai, and so we're going to chime in. We're just going to talk to Colin about how it is, because he's very strategic about his modeling and as far as the movements and how you capture them.
Yeah.
So what's your preference, working with the tech and the computer side, or do you like working with the live models?
I don't. It's nice. Look, spending 20 hours on the computer gets old, so it's nice to get away from Australia, my office, and come here and shoot new models.
Yeah.
And the models are so good. I was afraid when we first started that they wouldn't be, experienced. An unexperienced model would be very rigid and not. You get this type of rigid movement.
Yes.
But they're amazing. All of mine. Not one of the models was bad.
Yes.
Even the amateurs were amazing, and the professionals were great. Pomai was probably the quickest we shot. I think we got him done in about 10 minutes.
40-something minutes of cruise.
You must be a master.
Yeah. Oh, he was amazing. We talked. I think it was an hour shoot, and we talked for 50 minutes. The rest was just.
Can you, Zuri, bring up Papa and Waikea? That's your image, right?
That's right. Yeah.
We'll talk about that again a little bit. And Kala's daughter you shot too, Mahina.
Yes. Yep. She was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Pomai, I want you to chime in and tell your experience with working with these amazing photographers. And
well, for me, it was the first time I've ever worked with Colin and Luana, and even Bob. I'd only worked with him for maybe a day or two before that.
Can you tell us how you met or how you got involved in this project first? Yeah.
How we met, I met them at the photo studio the day that we had the shoot. Bob I had met 3 days earlier, and I think through just talking at the shoot, that's how we really got to know each other.
Yeah.
How did you get cast? How did you know?
Actually, really funny. Pomai works for Ocean State, Hawaiian Water Patrol.
Yeah,
Which one is it?
Hawaiian Water Patrol.
Hawaiian Water Patrol.
And I met him through a friend of
Machin.
mine. Steve Machin, and also this other guy, Mike Prickett, and they work closely with the Hokulea and filming and stuff like that. So we had been mixed up together through a few of our friends.
He does have quite an intense look.
Oh, it's
like
amazing. I know. As soon as I saw him. Yeah,
we were actually having a conversation about this yesterday. I was telling Colin about when I saw you up the North Shore this couple days ago, and we were talking about how easy it was to work with you, and how when we put you in there and said, this is what you're representing, you were already well read on it. We sent out to all the models who they were representing, and Pomai actually did a lot of research on this La'akea, and when he went into pose, it was just like we got it within 2 shots. Basically, we wanted to get some insurance shots, but he was just. It was him, and it just perfectly personified. And he's got that.
And that's basically pose 1. The only thing we did was get him to Pomai just to move his eye line, because we shot these 2 people separately, because we had to. That's why the schedule worked out. So I wasn't sure.
Pomai.
I know.
It actually worked out better for me. It was like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure where she was going to be, so we just had the eye line. Pomai move his eye line around a little bit just to make sure we caught it. But I mean, that was it. He was sitting on 2 chairs.
Did you ever work with it actually in the water, or that's all generated?
Oh, it's all generated. Yeah. It's all studio.
So you never walked into the water with your camera?
No, that's an
No.
aquarium.
Yeah.
I think I shot the lip of the water on an aquarium and just took the top bit, and the bottom bit's actually real. I just made it look like it's underwater.
Yeah.
He's scared of sharks.
Oh.
I come from Australia.
Australia?
No. Only Australian sharks.
Yeah. So, Pomai, tell me about the experience with working with the photographers.
Well, I had never done a big photo shoot like this before. It's actually a whole new realm to me, and actually, I had learned everything fly by with them. You know, I was just basically a piece of clay in their hands. So they told me, do this, I did that. Move your hands here, I did that. Look this way. It was fairly easy, but
It was, got right into it.
Moldable is important for you, Colin, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have to, because he did exactly what we needed him to do. I said, there's going to be a beautiful girl laying here, and just look into her eyes, and that's what he did, and we were done.
Right, yes. And then for your other castings, how was it hard for you to delegate the roles of each legend?
Not really. I contacted an agency, Niche Models over here, and Premier Models, and Kathy Muller Agency. And they sent me some shots of their Hawaiian people. And then one of our friends, he put out a notice to the Hawaiian community, and I got a lot of Hawaiians sending me emails with their shots and stuff. So then I had to go through the casting and see which ones would fit which character best. It was actually pretty easy, because we got a huge response on this. And so some of them, as you know, are actual fashion models or models in the industry over here: Mahina Garcia, Mahina Alexander,
yes.
Miley Meyer, or Miley Murphy, or Malia Murphy, excuse me. And then
you can start showing some of the images. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then a lot of the people are actually Beach Boys, people who I know from the beach.
Yeah.
And then
not models. Yeah.
No, not models at all. In fact, they were
How do you like that, Colin?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
But they were very natural, because they, every day working at the beach, every day doing something that is traditionally Hawaiian, like sailing double-hulled vessels, these catamarans. They have that spirit in them, and they researched all the characters that they were playing. For instance, Kamupua'a, this is a boat captain, actually, works on the Cape Waikai. And that little pig over there was the toughest thing to find. He was the toughest model out of the whole lot.
Oh, okay. So that's a real war. Yeah, I heard you guys have a story about that.
Yeah, well, Pomai actually located that pig. I was hunting for that pig for about 3 months, and I had some leads on some pigs, and then I called Pomai.
Some leads on some pigs.
I know, it's
some leads. Yeah, but so I kept on looking for this pig, and then I talked to Pomai. I sent him a text actually and said, "Hey, bro, I need your help. Do you know anybody who has a pig?" And he introduced me to Nate. Yeah. And back in the valley up in Haula, they have Manapua'a, and that's that pig. And we were shooting in a very small area. And they took the pig off leash. I said, "Can you bring it out of the cage?" It comes out of the cage. They take it off leash, and he's kind of at first a little apprehensive of me and my camera and everything. Then he started coming towards me more. And the yard is small and narrow, so as I would pace one way, the pig would start moving with me, and he's eyeing me up, and he goes, "Yeah, this is a nice appetizer," I kept kind of eyeing me up. I kept moving, and finally I'm like, "Hey, Uncle Teddy, can you put the guy back on the leash? Because I think I'm going to get gored here." But
so he wasn't the most best model of all.
He was the least cooperative model out of the lot.
Did he charge?
No, he just kept coming closer and closer, inching closer and closer, and kind of cutting the ring off for me. And I was like, I could end up in some trouble.
How many shots did you get of what's his name? Does he have a name?
Manapua'a.
Manapua'a. Yeah.
I don't get that many, because I think you want to end the shoot pretty quick. So
I was moving pretty fast.
So tell the audience a little bit about this legend and this god, what he represents, because duel, right? Yeah.
Well,
he
there's
turns into-
there's so many stories of Kamapua'a, but I think probably most recognizable is that Kamapua'a was the lover of Pele. He was scorned by Pele and became.
Didn't she have many lovers?
I didn't know her personally, but from what I've read, yeah. But so he became a recluse basically, and he was able to, from what I know the stories, he could become either very similar to a pig or as a pig himself, but he was very handsome when he was younger, and then he just.
Speaking of Pele,
as he went on, he became
wow. This is the dress you're talking about, right, Colin?
Yeah, that's the dress. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Now that's a fiery bang.
That is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That shot worried me probably the most because I thought if I get that wrong, it's going to not go down too good here in Hawaii. So
that's Mahina Garcia, who I've worked with, and she's lovely.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Is that did you digitize her hair, or did she grow? Since I lost all her,
we shot what we call a hair plate. So the moles throw their hair and we shoot it separately, then we extend it to make it longer. So we got all the moles to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, this is where you're talking about actually digitizing each fire, each flame.
Yeah. So all the flames are put in separately, shot separately, and everything's laid on. I mean, there's hundreds of layers there. You know, there's a volcano behind. I think you can't see it there.
So you shot the volcano?
No, it wasn't going off, was it?
No, we had in the background of the plates that we shot. There's the hills up by the lava fields up there on the Big Island, and so when we shot it, they're basically more the hill formations. Then Colin turned them into volcanoes.
I put fireworks and to make it look like it's spewing up. So I use different techniques to make it look like it's exploding.
So cool them down. Ooh, tell us about this image.
Lono.
Lono, beautiful. That is very serene and very calming.
That's Rainbow
Nice
Falls.
contrast.
I think a lot of the elements were shot there with Rainbow.
This is 3 different waterfalls, I believe.
Yeah,
One is Rainbow Falls. The other one is we shot over at Waikoloa. I used a little bit of the pool waterfall there, and just for the mistier one. What this photo represents to me, I've always been. I love the stories of Lono because I saw Lono as a god of peace, love, and that's what he kind of brought forth, and that's why the makahiki is so important. And you know, the harvest, he brought that forward. So we tried to make this really about nature in this shot, and Lono being more of a, like you said, more peaceful and serene.
Speaking of nature, let's go to the fern one. Which one is that one? The fern. Oh, I heard a story that you.
Hi'iaka.
Hi'iaka. So the Hi'iaka is 28. There's the fernsary. I want to talk about the story. Yeah. So Colin, I heard that you actually started working on this coming image that you had digitized a different fern. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we built her dress. I built her dress in similar like I did Pele's dress. It's bit of CG to make it flow, and that was the easy part. But then I put the ferns in CGI to make them look like it's turning into a whip, and I spent about 5 days on that and realized I used the wrong fern. So my wife informed me one day.
Where was La'akea?
Yeah, I know. So I was informed it was the wrong fern, so I actually had to start again. After laying down for about a day, I got up and started over again and put the right fern in this time.
So how many images in all in this collection, actually?
There's 15.
15 images.
Yeah.
And you're going to be debuting actual show at the, where is it again? The
Honolulu Museum of Art, Line Kona building. So it's the school right across the street from Honolulu Museum of Art, and they've offered us to exhibit there. We're going to be starting off the exhibit on April 1st, and it will be up from April 1st to April 30th, actually. We're discussing having a grand opening party on that. So right now we're kind of in this phase where we're starting to publicize this. We're starting to get out there. We're seeking sponsors to help us with this. It was a pretty significant investment on Colin's my part. And the one reason that we really want to see success with this project is, and we've discussed this with La'akea and Pomai as well, is moving forward and delving deeper into this and continuing this project, because this is just brushing the surface.
Right, yeah.
You know, so there's just so much more to it. And then
can you go back to the Hawaiian images there? Yeah.
And then, yeah, so there's so much more to it, and we can delve deeper and deeper into the stories themselves or into the personifications, the different personifications, because like I said, there's so many personifications of Kane, so many personifications of Ku. You can't get it all in one image, so we actually need to be able to do more images. So we're really excited
Well,
about
on
continuing
that
on.
note, we'll actually tell the audience when they can actually see the show, and if you want to support the Ancient Hawaii Images as an ongoing series and support these wonderful artists, Colin Anderson and the models and the artists, go to, look in that camera and say where they can check out the show. From April 1st to the 30th?
Well, from April 1st till the 30th, we're going to be at Honolulu Museum of Art, Line Kona building on the upper level. We're going to be splitting the building with the Contact exhibition, which is being put on by Miley Meyer of Naumea Native Hawaiian Bookstore. So she's going to have the lower level, we'll have the upper level. We're trying to create a massive opening night ceremony, and it would be a celebration of Hawaiian culture with hula, mele, a lua demonstration, and
the art.
Bands. And then, yeah, you kind of walk into the art exhibit, and
All
we're
right.
talking about some cool technologies with that as well.
Sweet. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much for joining these wonderful artists for Ancient Hawaii. And look for this art next year in the spring, April 1st. And actually this party, if you guys want to support this party, contact Jay at ThinkTech or myself. Or what's your website, Colin? You have a website contact?
We don't have one set for this yet. This is
Okay.
fairly new.
Colin Anderson Productions?
Well, I have my own personal advertising
So
website.
if they want to support
Yeah,
your passion project,
www.andersonproductions.com.au.
Thank you so much for joining Urban Transcendence, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.